Hey, welcome to the Runaways podcast. My name is Cody. We are back for another week. And you know what? It's not just two of us. We still have a couple losers who decided not to get on the podcast today. But
I
they have
mean,
been
Noah
replaced
dragged
with
his
Fino.
feet joining at first. I thought it was going to be date night with Cody this time.
No, this is normal, man. Cody sends the invite at 8. I get on at a smooth 8:08, I got to
Yeah.
do like the swag style late entrance to the podcast.
But I think we're going to have a good episode tonight because we are going to be talking about the PQ changes. We have a whole different amount of data to talk about from what won from week one. This little tournament AGE event happened, which we might have the champion in this room as well. And they can talk a little bit about that tournament. And then we have just some overall ideas about things that have been happening within the game that I wanted to rant about, a little rantaways section as well. But first of all, it is PQ season. We all went to PQs. You guys had an additional tournament outside of that. But I'll start with Fino. We all were on it.
You should do how was your week in Flesh and Blood first, because the both of us are going to yap infinite about our week in Flesh and Blood.
Cody is always last, but you go first this time.
Sure. I'm that's fine. I played in 2 PQs. The first one was my local PQ. I tactfully got second place so I could continue to play games this season on Gravy. So that was fun. I then went to my next PQ and I got ran over by Syndra's, which is kind of expected because I'm not very good at that matchup yet. But it felt like I could win both of them if I was just like a better player. You have to play perfect on the Gravy side a lot of the time, and playing perfect in that matchup kind of looks weird but again, I feel like if I just sit down and spend like 4 to 8 hours on the matchup, I'll probably come out feeling great. That's kind of where I'm at with that right now. I think Gravy's still a good deck. It's just that room was super hostile. It was just Dio, Acilio, Syndra's. There were no Earth heroes anywhere in the room. I'm just like, every matchup is like my hardest matchup. But it was great practice because I basically said I would rather play all the games for practice for Worlds and for Gravy practice than like win one of the events. I'll just use a PTI. And it's nice that I have the ability to do that. But that's it. That's my whole weekend. I did spend a lot of time playing Lyeth, which I probably shouldn't have. But I had fun doing that. I did get the fire breathing for 19 on Fino's stream. So, I don't know. Maybe the deck has legs.
Very short legs.
Very short legs.
Nice one.
Okay, Fino. How was your weekend and how was AG event?
So for my weekend, I played in a ProQuest on Saturday. I got top 8. I got smushed in top 8 twice by someone that is currently on the podcast. The top 8 of the ProQuest.
I think I beat you in top 4 at the other thing.
Was it top 4? I don't
it was
remember
top
anymore.
4, yeah.
All I know is
I'm
I have
giving
PTSD
you more credit.
from that
You
game.
got another win. There you go. It was top 4.
I have PTSD from the game. Oh, yeah, no, it was top 4 because I faced Derek and then faced you. Yeah, that's what it was. I have PTSD from that game. You went first. Arsenal like throw an attack at me. It was like a reckless stampede as always. And then Arsenal pass. You draw up. You inform me that I had lost the game, and I was like, "What?" You were correct. I had in fact lost the game on turn 1. I threw a Conquer of the High Seas at you. You crown your Arsenal away, and then proceed to deal have like a 39 to 40 damage turn.
It was 42, yeah.
Okay, reasonable. It was it involved a Blood Rush Bellow, discarding 2 Beast Withins, cracking your beaten trackers, a Savage Feast. Okay, I guess I'll die. So yeah, that was pretty heartbreaking losing that way. At the AGE, I went into it first seat. My strategy going into it, because I was first seat, was because I got to pick, play, draw every single game. I decided to construct my deck in such a way where I played more allies than I normally would, so I can just choose to go first, dump some allies in play, and then pass the turn and have like a massive advantage. That did not work out so well because that strategy involves typically actually drawing the allies. I was not very good at doing that aspect of this equation. And then I would get infinitely punished for this throughout the rest of the game because now I'm just going to draw multi-ally hands for the rest of the game. So all of my games were just horrible to play. my very first round, I played against Derek again. I proceeded to not draw an ally for the top 22 cards of my deck. Afterwards, I went to Hypogeometric Calculator to run the numbers of the odds of that, and it was a 0.0149% chance for that to happen. I was like, okay, I guess I'll die. So that was a pretty tough event for me. Just, I had a strategy. Deck didn't want to cooperate with me on the strategy. Afterwards, though, the three of us went on my stream and we did like a VOD review of my streamed game against Noah, talked about all the decisions that we made during the game. If you guys are interested in that, check out my channel. I think we brought like a lot of value talking about like all the different decision making. And like my thought with that was I do a lot of content of reviewing other people's VODs from like callings and stuff. Well, now that I'm on stream and I lost, I need to be, I have to do it to myself now, right? That's only fair. I can't just only do everyone else and not do myself. So I thought it was pretty interesting. I actually learned a lot from doing that. And yeah, that's my week in Flesh and Blood. It was pretty fun.
Okay, it's my time. I also have a plug too for the start. I don't know if it'll be out before or after this, but I recorded like deck tech video for the deck I played this past weekend. So there may be some anecdotes about the tournament. That'll be posted on like the Runaways main channel. But yeah, brief synopsis of the weekend is I played also the back-to-back events. And it was kind of a weird week because we had to submit our deck list for the AGE on Monday. So like over a week ago from the time of this. And so basically that whole week I just had to sit with the fact that I had some interesting choices in my list. I would say around 4 or 5 cards. I was like, okay, based on what people submitted for this tournament, these cards are basically not going to get used, or like maybe I'll use them once in 8 rounds. But I thought the core of my deck was really solid. So I played the same thing KO on Saturday at the ProQuest as I did on Sunday at the AGE, just to like get more practice. And for some reason, like I just make so many mistakes that are so foolish. We reviewed some of them that I made on stream at the AGE. My round 1 of the ProQuest, I also made an extremely foolish play of my opponent blocked with what's the card you play that gains life? Fiddler's Green. They block with a Fiddler's Green and they go to like write down the life as though they had already gained the life. I'm like, no. It's still on the chain. This could be relevant. Because I'm going to send my next attack. This is what I'm thinking in my head. I don't say this part out loud, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to send my next attack. He then has to give me both cards because otherwise he'll die before he gets to get the life off the Fiddler's Green. And then I'm like, oh, wait, but I get to click my gloves. And so then I'm like, okay, wait, no. Actually, I do want to close the chain. I click the gloves and I'm like, oh, wait. Now he gets 1 more life and he only has to give me 1 card. Wait, I'm a fool. And so then I do the gloves and I'm at 12. The Florian is at 10. No. 10 rune chance, excuse me. I'm at 12, the Florian's at 10 rune chance. And you saw in my deck I don't play any AB. So I attack with my next attack and he plays reduce, goes up to exactly 12 rune chance and can keep a card and then I die. So that was a bit foolish. But then I tightened up my play from then on. Was able to squeak in at 8th, win my top 8 game. Yeah, absolutely go berserk mode. Despite berserk not being legal, that looked like a berserk turn basically against Fino. Yeah, I think I went 5 wide on the Blood Rush. And then in the finals, I played a very eventful game where I asked my opponent, do you want to go to Japan? He said no, but I really want the gold foil. And I was like, well, this presents a bit of a challenge. So I guess you win. And then we went and had dinner because I wanted to go play more ProQuest. And like, there's no way for us to come to a solution that makes any sense there, given that like, yeah, I'm more interested in playing more ProQuest this season than getting the invite then. So I guess I just have to believe in myself that I'll continue to make it to finals in subsequent weeks, but we got a few more weeks. Surely it'll happen. And then go ahead.
New ProQuest system working as intended.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just thought it was funny because it was like, I had the same situation. Like I get in the finals and it's like, I'm like pretty far ahead, I think, to win the game if we play it out, but like I have no leverage anymore. Like there's no leverage. I'm like, hey, do you want the invite? And they're like, no. And I was like, okay. Well, I guess I concede. You can have the gold foil, and I just like I would like to play tomorrow, and I like walk away. Like,
Yeah. It supported gold foil donation. Like I don't know. People like overvalue the gold foils. People will be opening bunker beards left and right. Like the gold foil just does not matter at all. I'd rather just get more testing, get those hot overcrowdeds and swing bigs. Like, yeah. Okay, but then I can talk about the AG a little bit. This is good. You interrupted my ranting. It's proper. So the AGE, first off, it's at the store that's like 15 minutes from my house, which is amazing. The tournament starts at 10. I set my alarm for like 9:25. So I just like roll out of bed, show up to the tournament, and of course I'm on the round 1 stream, and I overheard them talking that they're like, "Oh, we got the scale peeler Slippy, so that way they like to arsenal their blood rush, and then we can do scale peeler, and then they can't block with their equipment, and we'll CNC the blood rush away, and we'll succeed." And then that's just not how I play the matchup at all. So, yeah, you can watch how the stream goes. I also just drew insanely hot. I think that was probably the luckiest I drew all of Sunday. Definitely not of Saturday, but luckiest I drew all of Sunday. And yeah, just like not much of a game there. And they also drew insane too. It's just like the power dynamic between the decks of what each deck's best draws look like. Yeah, it's definitely in the KO favor. Yeah, kept playing. I lost to Dan on Syndra and Swiss, and then we rematched in top 4, and he decided that I should be allowed to win the game. If you go back and watch any of those top 8 games, you can easily see scenarios where I should just lose every single one of those top 8 games, but a little bit of variance going my way and some unfortunate draws and sequences from my opponents let me get there and get that PTI, which is like huge. I finally get to see the number 2 in my account. I'm a big fan of this. That was my weekend.
That's good. It was a good weekend. I liked watching on stream.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun to review the games. I don't know. I will say this. It made me... I watched you guys play and build up for this whole tournament, and it made me incredibly jealous because I wanted to play... I want to play for some stakes. Luckily, our sponsor of this episode may have some stakes for us to play for. On November 1st and November 2nd, Green Tree Sports Cards in Pittsburgh, PA is inviting you, me, everyone else to join us for a weekend of competitive FAB for the chance to win $10,000. Green Tree Sports Cards is hosting a $10,000 cash prize CC event on Saturday, November 1st, and a 2.5K Living Legends event on that Sunday, November 2nd. Plenty of win a box side events and an incredible charity raffle with 100% of the proceeds going to support local food banks. Feel free to register. Is available at the website gscfab.com. It'll also be in the link below. There'll also be a post about this with like a little screenshot about it. I can't wait to go. It's basically the weekend of Halloween. I'm going to be traveling to Pittsburgh to play. If you're anywhere in the area, it's a 10K that we can play for. So if you've already won your PQ, you at least have something to go do as well. So I was pretty excited to hear about it.
Okay, I could not interrupt the plug or the segue, but shut up. All your events are things to actually play for. You have like infinite 1Ks. I'm so sick of the bad prizing at half of the events. I started just doing a spreadsheet of the prizing of the events in our area and like asking people what the prizing for the events that I'm not physically going to. And like 2 of them this season was actual 0 prizing. Just like actual nothing to play for. Ridiculous. Get out of here with your things to not play for.
Well, the pricing wasn't great at these 2 events that I played for, that I went to this past weekend. I mean, one of them I didn't top 8 because I got squished by Syndra, so there was no pricing. But the other one was just like, I can't win the 1K. So, and I have no leverage for the 1K, so there's no like prize split that can happen. So it's just like, get second place, whatever the second place monies are, that's what goes into my store credit. Still better than nothing. I actually think it's actually worth getting the promo cards from like top 4.
Yep.
That I want all of those. I think that's worth the most out of anything.
That was it's like, okay, I pay like $35 for my entry and I get these 2 cards that are worth like 90 to 100. So
yeah.
And they're like,
and who knows
where
the overcrowded go. Yeah.
I will say shout out though to Webway. Most nuts prizing that anyone ever does in the area. They didn't just put back 100% of the entry fee into prizing. It was like 120% if you go by what MSRP for packs is. It was absurd the amount of pricing that they give. Webway, best pricing in the area. Go to them if you're in the Mass area.
I agree.
Sweet. Okay, I did want to talk. We got stats for PQ, so I have to rant a little bit now about LSS. So they decided, in their infinite wisdom, to treat everyone like children, like we're all stupid. And for years, they've been releasing, hey, here are the results for the previous week's RTN or PQ season, and here are the number of decks that won. It's weird though. This week they changed it to percentages. Like we wouldn't notice. They didn't talk about it. Or we wouldn't realize that they're just hiding the fact that the LL events were only 9. There are only like 9 LL events. And instead of being like wanting that to be front and center, they wanted to treat us like children and change it to a percentage. I don't understand this.
It could be 18 or 36 or...
I think it was only 8. Because weren't all the numbers multiples of 8?
Yeah, it might have been 8. Yeah, 8 or 9. It was somewhere in that range. Which is just like, just man up and show the fact that you have that. Like, don't try and change the way you show the stats. Like, we're just going to like not notice. I don't know. I don't like, it's like very patronizing. Like, I don't understand this attitude of like, treat us like we're idiots. Like, I don't know. That's insulting to me. Other people, I guess, are okay with it. But I went ahead and converted it back so that we actually have the list of things that of people who won. So the number one winning deck was Verdance with 30 wins. And then right behind it, it might be off by 1. It could have been 29, but I'd rounded everything up that was over, that could be rounded up. So Verdance at 30, Syndra at 27, and then it's just a massive drop off. After that, it's just KO, Gravy, Acilio at 10. And we can talk about that for a little bit. The Gravy fall off is crazy, right? It's kind of like what we talked about last week. All the good Gravies won. Now most of them are gone.
Yeah.
Right?
But wasn't it also, what was the raw number from week 1? Wasn't it only 15?
Yeah, it was smaller amount.
So it wasn't like that much of a drop off in terms of raw number. It just in terms of ratio, it was a big drop off.
Yeah, in ratio from first to
in
the middle of the pack. I mean, I will say my events had like no gravies at it. I went to both my events and they both had 2 gravies at every event. And that was it.
Yeah, the Webway one had a bunch and Gravy ended up winning. So at least the one we went to locally was one of those gravies. I just think like in our area, there's always like 3 or 4 gravies at each tournament, I would say.
Yeah. The Verdance numbers went way up, which was expected. That is the best deck in the game right now, bar none. And it's pretty easy to play and it's very strong. And then it was followed very closely behind by Syndra, which makes sense to me as well. I saw a lot more Syndra than I'm used to. I obviously lost to 2 of them, so I think Syndra's in a good spot. You should be happy though. The KO got 10 wins. He's finally showing up.
Why do I care what other people do?
I don't know.
Like I'm not using these numbers to influence. Oh no, KO's losing. Let me not play my deck. Like clearly, I just think that I'm either playing it or building it differently than them. That's causing me to have more success. So, like showing these numbers is not super indicative of like how I feel about KO at least. But sure, yeah, KO, woohoo, the one arm gang.
I'll be excited to see again how if any of these numbers go down, right? Like if more people end up going into the Syndra Verdance pile, if the gravies get smaller, if the Kanos all go away. Just to point out, Kano had like 5 wins, could have been 6, but it looks like 5. Are there any more Kano players that can win games? I don't know. We might be out of them. Like we're almost out of all my local Kano.
Austin said he's going to win a ProQuest on Kano by the end of the season.
Okay. We just have another one. They are kind of on track to LL still. But I just don't think they're going to unless they win like a Battle Harden or a Calling or something, because I just do not see them continuing to win 6 events.
Are there any interesting changes between this week and last week?
Yeah, Gravy. Gravy is the 4th most winning deck from the 1st most winning deck by like a large margin. Yeah. Verdance is like all the way back up. Those are the big changes.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just not that much to read into here. Like Verdance and Syndra being tied with Gravy for like what people would say is probably the best 3 decks. Verdance and Syndra are 10 times easier to play. Therefore, they should win more. I think it's kind of not that deep.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll continue to see. how it adjusts. I don't have the stats for LL because who cares about eight tournaments? So,
yeah, exactly. It was like all the heroes that are currently banned won a tournament. Okay, nice.
yeah.
I guess interesting
I-
thought. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about this. Do you guys think something needs to happen to Verdance? You've mentioned before that you thought something did, Cody, I believe, by like the end of the season if the matchup spread maintains.
Yeah, 100%. Something if it maintains, if we see more callings, which we have more callings, and they're showing up and having 2 losing matchups in the entire game, they have to get nerfed. Like that's just not something that LSS has ever let stand before. I mean, maybe this is the first time that they let it happen, but I think the deck is by far the best deck in the game, no question asked.
Yeah.
Noah, thoughts?
I don't know. I just have a very jaded view of it, as always. My view fluctuates week to week, but I know in my heart how I have always felt is that like if you're the opponent of Verdance and you can't beat them blocking 7 and throwing between 6 and 8 every single turn, then you're either doing something wrong or you got unlucky draws or your deck is bad. Like the Verdance is never doing anything that's outrageous outside of like a pot combo versus a slow deck or just like a crazy I drew the nuts rampant combo, which is kind of non-existent now with no hat. So like I think it just beats up on people who don't really know how to play against a deck where the opponent just does true damage every turn and asks you a question of can you overcome me blocking with D-Reacts, blocking a lot with Bark Skin and other armor, and kill me before you get into the range of Striders.
I mean, that's a pretty big ask to be 9 points down at the start of the game, essentially.
Yeah, you just have to win by 9 points, yeah.
That's
a big
a
ask.
lot.
But it's like on the table. Like okay, like you can make a game plan of I just have to build my deck.
It doesn't matter if the decks can't do it. Yeah.
Exactly. It's on the table though. Like
yeah,
how would you feel if a deck just started with a headpiece up to 9?
Oppressive decks are like gravy, where it's like it literally doesn't matter what I do sometimes. I just lost the game deterministically. Whereas when I play against Verdance, like I just know I have to be better than them by 9 points and I win.
Couldn't you make
Or I
that
have to
same
be better
argument
than
for
them by
Verdance?
like 7 points and get a little bit lucky at the end.
Couldn't you make that same argument for Verdance though, where like you're going to lose deterministically as a lot of decks?
No, you don't lose on turn 1 or 2. You have to play so many more turns. Whereas like against other decks, like when I present to you 42 damage as KO, you've lost the game.
Mhm.
Versus Verdance, you haven't lost the game on turn 1 or 2. You play so many more turns.
Sure. Agree.
That's what I meant by deterministic is like you effectively lose the game in the first like turn cycle of like turn 0, 1, 2 kind of thing. You've lost against a lot of other decks and you just keep throwing cards around despite it not mattering at all. Whereas I don't think that's the case against Verdance at all. Because the game goes longer and she has lower damage she can do on a given turn cycle, she gives the opponent a lot more chance to find their spike turn and blow her out of the water. So that's why I
The
think
problem
it's
with
like
that though
Yeah, go
is
ahead.
a lot of decks are lacking in spike turns that can like
Yeah, so don't
actually
play a
go over
deck
the
that doesn't
top.
have a spike turn then, and then if you're just playing the same game plan as Verdance of just like blocking 2 cards and sending 2 cards, obviously you're going to lose every time because you're not going to make up 9 points of difference with that strategy. You have to be able to have spike turns that give you that 9-point edge.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't have a huge opinion on this myself because like I'm kind of compromised here. I want people to play Verdance as the gravy. I'm one of the 2 good matchups, so I'm like, yes, keep playing this deck, please. I think I could see something happen though if the matchup spread maintains like Cody was saying. I don't really know what they would hit though, other than like maybe Waning Moon. Just like stop doing the strategy.
I think my point is different than does Verdance need to be need something nerfed from them? And I could very easily be convinced no, they don't need anything. Like they're not oppressively too strong, but they're just LSS, if they want to be consistent, can't allow a deck to just be a positive win rate into everything in the game, essentially. Like, and if you talk to Verdance players and they try to claim that they also are positive into like gravy and stuff now, so that would be almost every single match in the entire game that they have a winning win rate into. It's like just by like how LSS play like nerfs in the game, they can't just let this one slide. Like every top player's playing it. It's going to be the world's deck. I just don't see any world where they don't make a change. I could see an argument where they don't have to, they don't need to, because the deck can be combated in some way, right? But I mean, its stats are insane.
Yeah, I don't think we
for a
like
top deck.
need a change. I don't think it's like this
Yeah,
deck
yeah,
is
yeah.
broken, something has to happen. I agree with that.
I don't
just-
think it's broke, something has to happen. It's just like,
Where's like
crazy.
the negative play experience associated with Verdance though? Like it's just it's so chill. Like, okay, you sent a 6 arcane. All right, I lost 6 life, and then I just get to play my whole turn. Or like, okay, you played Felling or Plow. Maybe the Plow is useless because I didn't have an arsenal. The Felling, sure, you got to play. You have like 3 cards that actually do something. Like, I just don't see where it's like negatively impacting the either player in the situation. Nothing feels outrageously broken like other decks that they've had to like turbo nerf into oblivion. So I don't see why anything should change before Worlds.
I think the only outrageously broken thing is Striders, but that's like always been a broken thing. That's nothing new.
That just when they put the wizard text at the bottom, you just know that there's going to be Striders there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, if they go to the next calling and they fall back to where they were before, or they're just like a normal deck. But if you like pull up a calling stat and it's just like Verdance is the second or third or first most played deck, and they're just positive across the board, like something has to be done at that point. That's just like games can't function when there's just the most played deck is also just wins every matchup, right? Like that's just that's more of just like a for the tournament experience, you have to do something, or we all should just play Verdance.
I mean,
I
for
heard
the
that
tournament
we all play
experience,
Verdance,
that
the
only
winner will go
matters.
down.
For the tournament experience, that only matters if the play experience is bad, right? Like,
Yeah,
if the
that's what I'm
Verdance
trying to
mirrors are, if the mirrors are ass, then yeah, that's a pretty bad tournament experience. Because like I'm fine if the mirrors are good. That's whatever. I think that you run into a negative where that becomes the only deck that's viable in the game, and then that hurts other aspects of the game. Like sales start going down because people aren't buying other things. People lose interest in the game because they can't play the thing that they want to play, which is a big deal in FAB. People are very like, I want to play my thing. I have an identity tied to the specific type of play. So that can have a negative impact on the game overall, but that doesn't necessarily matter for Worlds, right? Like that's people are going to play what is the best deck, regardless of what they think they should be playing, unless their name is Cody and they're just going to play Chain.
Maybe. I do think we should give time for Verdance to actually be countered, because I don't think we haven't seen any of that. And again, I'm not saying there has to be nerfs. I'm just pointing out that we do not often see decks with these type of stats.
I'm pretty sure.
And
and
it's also getting adopted.
If people can figure out ways of having huge spike turns and not bleeding too much health in the interim time to die to Striders, that just seems like a good strategy.
Yeah, it's like win the game before they get turned online is
Not have your spike turn on like turn 9 when they've already healed 1 million and stuff. It's like you want to be able to have it on turn 3, 4. Obviously, you can't control that always with draw sequence, but like, yeah, you just want to try to put them so low early. I was saying this in a lot of the interviews for AGE, talking about what my strategy into Verdance is basically just like get them so low early that they have to block with like the good cards because they don't have that many good cards. And if I make them block with 3 to 4 cards in their hand, then they just do nothing on their own turn and all their value is erased.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, Acilio Dio or the other decks that can kind of combat that. We've seen people trying to fatigue them using skull cap again as a way to deal with like tree.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think I think the Verdance deck is good enough that it doesn't need like the boots trick, or it doesn't need tree. That's kind of how I feel about its place in the I'm a mid game like wizard. It's like
if you hit Waning Moon, you hit both of these things, right? A lot of the tree lines are just like tree moon pass.
Sure.
If you get rid of the moon, you also reduce the reach of the Striders. Like Striders is the card that you like should hit. That card's unreasonable, but like they don't want to do anything with the cards that say L in the corner.
Yeah.
I
I
should
just
have
think the
gone when
deck is
Icelander
still-
went though.
I just think the deck's still pretty good, even without Striders.
Okay, it can be pretty good. There's nothing wrong with pretty good. I don't
Yeah,
think pretty
no, I
good is the
agree.
metric for
You know-
banning cards.
You now no longer have to be 9 points better than them.
Yeah.
Like the deck just takes such a huge hit of like now they have to make the game go longer to get more value as opposed to cheesing the kill.
It's not
It's just
just
like once
like
their
6
turn-
points ahead. It's also they missed out on the moons throughout the game, right? They can't just like freely convert their extra cards into 2 damage. It makes
Yeah,
their heartbeats
It's
worse.
non-zero.
Oh, you're saying I have to get rid of Waning Moon?
That is what I meant by moon.
Yeah.
Was not
I
talking
was
about
still
the
on
mystic
Striders.
cards that say moon.
No, I was still on Striders, getting rid of Striders. And
But
then
Striders and Moon, it's a similar idea where like it also lessens the ceiling of the endgame kill.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. No, it could do that as well. Or they
Because
could do
it's not
nothing.
tied to a hero. Like this is just in the game forever. So like,
Yep.
is this always going to be an issue anytime they ever print a wizard?
You know what they should do? They should do an eradication of legendary shoes. Footsteps, scab skins, storm striders, out of here, dude. They're gone.
No, I just bought my fancy footsteps. You can't do that.
Would you accept that trade? Would you accept footsteps for scabs?
I already said that I would accept. Only I am not allowed to play any board state hero ever again to get rid of scabs. Everyone else is allowed to play and have fun. It's a Squidward meme of I'm just watching everyone else have fun.
Mhm.
Only me, but no one gets to play scabskins ever again. Deal.
Nice. So then, by that property, you would accept banning footstep, banning scab,
Slam.
a life for a life.
That's pretty funny. Great. I did want to talk about something else. A little rant, and then we can talk about.
Oh
some
my
other
god,
things, but
another?
I know.
Wait, buy one get one free? Oh my
What?
god, the viewers are feasting.
But this is the opposite direction of most rants. This is a rant on LSS's side, which is
right, You can stop
not
watching.
something that happens very often. Yeah.
Someone get the timestamp for the viewer questions.
Yeah, someone make sure they send this to LSS just so they know that we're sometimes positive. We're not always negative. But but James White threw up like a X post about Dromai coming in 2027, and they were like currently working on it, which is cool to at least know a date. I know, Fino, I don't know if you're sad or excited about the fact that you at least know a date. Okay,
I've been
but you
joking
have to
for
wait
a
whole
while
year?
that man, it's taking so long. I think Gravy's gonna LL before we get new Dromai, and that might be true at this point.
Yeah, you just trade them out. But they had some like placeholder art while they were working on new Dromai, obviously, and it looked like it was probably AI, and I think it was AI. And there was a big like kickback from some people in the community about how dare they use like AI for art for placeholder art. And I think that is like the most ridiculous thing to try and attack LSS about. LSS is one of the best companies when it comes to how they treat their artists. They not only pay a shitload of money every year for art for their game, they also allow the artists to then make additional money from the art that they commissioned from the game that becomes popular, which is like relatively unheard of in the space. And like, it's one of the things that LSS does better than almost any other company. It's like why artists like working for them. People in this game are drawn to artists that make art. They come to the events. You get to buy things that have art of the cards on it that supports directly to the artists. Like this is a very art like an artist centered program that LSS runs, and they're obviously very respectful to that. Why did anyone in the community start getting mad that they're using AI art for placeholder art so they don't have to throw away actual artists' work is like a ridiculous ask. They could have put no art on there. They're obviously just using AI art so it's like easier to work with and design, and then they'll go out and find a real artist to make the art that they want, like they've always done. And this is just on LSS's side. I think they got a bunch of crap for this over the week, and I think that's ridiculous. I think anyone who attacked them about it has no idea how great this company is and that treats their actual artists.
It's like, what's
So-
the alternative? Did you want them to draw like their own handmade drawing on it, like put it like a stick figure on the thing,
Yeah.
just like a really poorly drawn dragon? Like well, they're not going to fully commission the art for an in-process card that they're designing, especially when, like, I don't know, things might change in development where they decide, oh no, we're moving away from the concept of it's Dromai and we're going to make it a different character, and it's like, well, now we're just not doing that anymore. It's like, there's just no reason to do any of that.
Yep. I mean, also, it's just like their track record of how great they are with the artists. And we've all seen them at every event that we've ever gone to. So it's not like this isn't a known thing that the artists, have. You go through, they have little sketchbooks of like all of the art that they've done that you can buy different copies. Like the chain guy just has infinite chain drawings that you can buy. And it's not like LSS could have told him he can't do that. Like when they commission the work, but they don't do that. That's like, it's very impressive actually. It's like a big W for LSS. So that's my quick rant. So if you're attacking LSS about this, you're ridiculous. You got to stop. Get a life. Touch grass. Do something.
Very nice.
Sweet. I have lately been trying to make Lyeth work. I cannot make Lyeth work because I can't figure out how to win the game. So if anyone out there has been playing Lyeth, I have the core. I have the idea of all of the cards that are like good enough for Lyeth. I've been preaching this to the people on the team for the last couple of days, like several people. And then I'm just trying to figure out whatever the win condition is. Maybe it's fire breathing. Maybe it's like some other combination of cards to try to go above rate that like I let you actually do something proactive because you have all the defensive cards around it. But if you at home have a good Lyeth deck that you would like me to play, I am well open to playing any of the Lyeth decks. So feel free to post them in the comments below, and I will 100% play the deck. I am trying. What I have been doing is, luckily the sponsor of the show, FAB Blazing, they have the data, and I have been tearing through every spot in that website to try and find winning Lyeth lists. There's like this really cool section where you can go pick like a deck, pick up a matchup, and then find the decks that have won recently, and then it gets their whole deck. And so I'm just like, okay, show me the Lyeth decks that have beat Gravy. And then there's like pages of them. And I just go through the pages of them and try and find a good Lyeth deck. So if you would like to have the data, whether you're trying to find a good Lyeth deck or win arguments with your friends, feel free to join in the link below. That is fabblazing.com. One of our sponsors.
Yeah, we were actually just using it a ton the other night, like right before on Friday, I think that like me and Cody were using it for like, oh god, it must have been like 3-4 hours of just like scrubbing data for Gravy Bones.
All in an effort to defeat me, and you still failed. Unlucky.
No. I found out the secret. It's go second, and then
but then I found out the secret and got a higher seed than you and made you start.
Accurate. No, it was great. I mean, using it to Gravy Bones like right before my PQ, where I'm like, oh, okay, these two cards now go back in my deck because of how the math worked out.
Yeah, it legitimately won me my first round of my PQ.
Nice. That is and saved us a lot of time on testing because it would have taken forever to get all of that data without it.
For sure. Especially with the speed y'all two play Gravy Bones out.
Well, that's the only way to play Gravy Bones.
I know, I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm just saying like it's one game for 2 years.
It is the problem of I want to get Gravy games against teammates. I do kind of want some hydrating, but I don't want too much hydrating when I'm like at some points because I'm like there is a world where you want to get so comfortable with the deck where you can play fast, like really fast. And that is like a worthwhile thing to practice, I think, at some times where you're just like kind of going through the game at like a pretty reasonable pace to see like just to see where your heuristics are at as well. But it's like impossible to do in the Discord because someone's gonna pop in and want to watch the game, and then it'll be like 2 turns later, and then you're just full blown.
Wait. Why'd you compass here? Why'd you compass here? 30 minutes later, take your turn.
You don't get that much excitement with KO.
Okay, but why'd you compass here?
No, you get so much excitement with KO. It's more just like, why did you fail and discard the Blood Rush and waste the whole game?
Perfect. Okay, anything else on the meta before we move on to some podcast questions.
We're going to questions already. We don't have another bonus topic.
No, we'll get bonus topics from the questions.
You think so? Okay. It's going to be a long question section.
I got a feeling it could be.
Yeah.
Or it could be a short episode. Who knows?
All right.
People need a break. They're getting waterboarded by just flesh and blood stuff over and over again right now. Who knows? We've had 2 very long episodes. Maybe we'll have a short one.
Okay, fine.
Well, if there's nothing else, we'll go to our podcast questions. These are asked by premium members of our Metafy. If you'd like to be able to ask questions on the podcast, get any of our free deck lists that we put out every single month that have sideboards notes with it, find people to practice with, or just interact with us anywhere in the Discord, feel free to join in the link below. First question here from Fighting Walloon. Post-AGE podcast question. Your Metafy KO list says that it runs CNC as part of the disruption package into Syndra. Noah did not have a CNC at AGE, but he did have send packing. Can you talk about some of the individual choices that you made with this deck construction and why you made them?
Yeah. I addressed a lot of it in the video, but I can talk about this one specifically now. So my reasoning behind send packing over CNC is, firstly, that I liked 3 Tear Limb from Limb. And so since I wanted to be playing 3 Tear Limb from Limb into the majority of matchups, or at least 2 of them, I wanted basically every single attack in my deck to be a brute attack. And so send packing fit that mold more than CNC to be able to come in for 12 plus. The second point is a lot of the Syndras were trending towards playing overcrowded, and where CNC kind of just is a bad value play when the opponent has overcrowded in their arsenal. Send packing can be very strong because they're probably not going to want to block out just to get the overcrowded back in their hand. They'll just most likely let it stay banished. Compared to CNC, they just block with the overcrowded from arsenal for 3 or 4. So those are 2 major strengths. The third being, when I'm playing a tournament like this, I want to, in general, just have more resource cards. I feel like if I'm playing a deck that has a bunch of cards that cost 2 and 3, the ways that I lose the game are drawing a bunch of red cards that cost resources and having to use my sash just to like play the game at all, or having to totally block out and waste might tokens or any setup. So having the additional yellow when my opponent chooses not to arsenal, because people know that brutes play lots of arsenal disruption, was also pretty key. And all this being said, you can totally just play CNC and it's also going to be really good, right? It fits the cost curve better, but just for this tournament in general, I wanted to have a bit of a hedge for overcrowded, as well as, also shout out Connor on our team. I know that he plays Crown of Providence Dio, and I assume there was going to be one other Dio in the tournament also playing Crown of Providence. And I didn't want to just let them get a free Crown of Providence on my first CNC, whereas when I throw send packing, they actually have to give me real cards to get their card back. Yep. There it is.
I think makes sense. Second question. Is clearing Rigor Mortis a bad idea into Gravy if you cannot do it efficiently? This question comes from the KO Metafy Guide. We'd be interested to hear your thoughts on other heroes as well.
Yeah, so you can watch my game against Fino to see it is possible to win if you just leave allies on board. And Sawbones is certainly much worse than Rigor Mortis to leave on the board, given that he was also just using it for its defensive value. So I think it's not a problem if you get off to an early enough lead to just leave guys on the board. Pressure lethal, such that they can't keep hands to summon a second ally and use Rum and swing both, because they keep having to gravy on their turn or my turn to just get the allies in the bin because they need to get blocking cards to be able to not die. But if you do have a clean clear on it, I usually go for it. It's just not completely game losing like it might be in some other heroes, because you're able to just present so much damage every turn that leaving it up is not a complete death sentence.
I would agree with that. Really depends on how far ahead you can get. And it just, if you do stumble, it's pretty punishing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You're going all in. Like, you're basically committing to, once you leave Sawbones, Rigor Mortis, those types of cards on the board, you're saying I can never try to pivot to killing allies. I just have to ignorantly send everything face for the whole rest of the game and just hope that I gets there. If you're playing a different deck, like you're playing Slip Through the Cracks, for example, is like the other one I have the most experience of. If you leave things like Rigor Mortis on the board, you just lose immediately. You have to, I think in that kind of a deck, you have to find a way to efficiently kill it with a Tunic Chalice or even just sending a 0 for 3 into it. Whereas KO can just put so much raw damage at the face and have kind of that closing power with Reckless Stampede, or if you're playing like Pulping with Dominate or just Tear Limb on a Show of Strength, this kind of thing, where you can just close the game in one turn. Then go for that strategy.
Agreed. Millen asks, what could help me to focus during games? A lot of the time, I lose focus if my opponent takes a long time to think about their play, or in top 8 when there is a whole store watching. Thank you.
I have a villainous answer to this. Does anyone have a holy answer?
I'm curious what the villainous is first.
I'm going with the villainous answer first. Okay.
Yeah, villainous first.
So the first thing is, if your opponent is taking a long time to think about their play, let them know that they're taking a long time to think about their play, because they have to play at a reasonable pace. Just because it's untimed doesn't mean that they can get out a piece of paper and start writing down every permutation of things that can happen. Like, you have to still play at a reasonable pace. So
that's just illegal.
I know, I was being exaggerating. Come on. But anyways, you can't think for forever. You have to play at a reasonable pace. So just like talk to your opponent and be like, you need to make a play. Just basically, as you're talking to your opponent, of like, you can joke around with them as well, but just like make it clear that this is serious. Like, there is slow play as a part of the game, so you have to make a play in a reasonable amount of time. And this also kind of accounts for the like store watching aspect of it. Is just, if you're completely focused on what you're doing and what your opponent is doing, you kind of can just like block out the noise as much as possible. And also, you are totally allowed to call a judge and be like, hey, like, this person's standing like right on top of my shoulder. Can you like tell them to back up if it's a literal problem of space? So yeah, those things are what I would say, is just like, make sure you're engaging in conversation with your opponent so that you're staying engaged with the game by doing that. And then also, if there's actual problem of like people crowding around, you can always have the judge move people back and give you some space.
I'm going to piggyback off of one of the comments that you made of you like continually engaging. I find the best thing is just keep thinking about the game. Like, if your opponent's taking too long and you stop thinking about the game and you're just sitting there going, well, like, that's when you're going to lose your train of thought. Like, okay, they're taking a minute. What am I doing on my turn? Okay, if they have this, I'm going to do this. Okay, I've figured all that out. Let me check my grave. Let me check their grave. Do some accounting. What threats are left in their deck? Okay, if at this point they still have not made a decision, like, come on, guy. Like, you've had ample time to make your decision. Make your decision now. I'm not gonna wait any longer. I've checked both graveyards and thought through every permutation of my own turn before you've taken a game action. Like,
you can
what
say
are we
this
doing?
out loud too. Like, it's totally fine to just say this. Like, you're spinning facts. This is what's happening. Like, they got to make a play.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about the game, and that's the biggest thing you can do.
Yeah, mine's very similar to Pheno's. If I find myself wandering in the game, and you should be able to catch yourself, like your brain just start wandering, you should refocus it on either what's my macro in this game, what am I trying to do, where do I think I'm at. Start going down that line of questioning, like, am I behind or ahead in this matchup? Where should I go? What am I going to do next? Like, what am I hoping that they do next? Then that's also why you see people check the graveyard, is they're just trying to maintain focus. If the second part of the question, though, sounds like a different problem. It sounds like if everyone is watching, this is like a problem with being observed, which some people makes them very uncomfortable when other people are like watching them do something. That is more of like an internal thing that you have to deal with. But the easiest way to do that is, like, I guess probably the same reason why a lot of us like playing on stream, is that type of, for some reason, that type of pressure, or that type of focus on causes you to be like alive in the game. I don't know the best way to describe it. Like, you're like completely locked into that game when you know it's under that much scrutiny. It's why like a lot of people love playing the top 8 at like a major event. You're just like, you'll never feel more engaged in the moment than that one time, And you can do the same thing at like a more local level. If people are all standing around watching, the important part is not to engage with the people around you. It is like to engage more with the actual game, and the things kind of like float away.
That's never the case for me. I got to make the comedy for the spectators, but
Yeah.
Both
You're
Vito and
different.
both Vito and I are exceptions to the rule. I'm out here like showing my hands, like, oh, look at this clown, he's dead next turn. Yeah. So do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah, but the difference is you're not uncomfortable with the people being around watching.
Correct. Yeah.
So I'm
If
going to
you
piggyback
are
off of that.
uncomfortable, then
I'm going to piggyback off of that. I'm not
Yeah.
uncomfortable because I've desensitized myself to it.
Mhm.
So I think the best way to get comfortable with that is keep putting yourself in situations for that to happen. And then at a certain point, you stop caring about it. It's just, this is just normal. I'm used to this. If you want like some help with that, maybe just play and ask your locals to watch you play your game. And like, that's what we do with Hydraing. It's just like, hey, watch me play the game and tell me when I'm a bozo. And like, after a lot of time of that happening, you're just going to not care anymore when it's in a real situation because you're just used to people watching you.
And if you need to like crack some jokes to ease the tension, you can be like, maybe back-to-back ProQuest, you're in top 8, there's someone watching that's like your friend or your local or whatever. You can turn and be like, maybe next time you should make it here. You could sit in the chair and I'll watch you in top 8. Why don't you try this one? If you need something to diffuse the tension, as long as you have that kind of relationship with the person.
agreed. Joe asks, what is the worst card you've ever lost the game to? Either an unforgivable card or an inclusion in a deck that makes negative sense.
Okay, I got this. It was Blue Surging Strike in is it Nathan Crawford?
Yeah.
In their Zen deck where they were playing Rainbow Surging Strike full Dishonor line Zen with Kodachis, with the only cards that pitched to Kodachis were Chi. The deck made no sense. But that's how bad the Enigma matchup was that during the game I was like, I can't, I just said this out loud. I was like, I can't believe I'm gonna lose to this terrible deck. It was the worst deck I've ever seen in an event ever.
Guys, we've cracked it. All of the Surging Strikes gets to the event. Oh no, we have made a horrible mistake. That's one of my favorite stories. Is that was the Zen deck that was being tested like behind the scenes by like too many people, and then they showed up thinking that like Enigma and stuff could beat the matchup, and you're like, yeah, against maybe this deck sometimes. Oh, that deck was
I think
horrible.
if I like actually played an Enigma deck that wasn't, because I just completely sacked that matchup. I was like, whatever, if I face a Zen, I lose. I don't care. If I brought like any tech for that matchup, I think I would have won, which is like, okay, what are we doing playing Zen and losing to Enigma if that happens?
I'm sure there are worse cards that I've lost to, but the most recent one burned in my brain is a Zen. Funny coincidence. Who played 2 Ripple Aways against me when I was playing Enigma, and I was playing Cosmo Enigma at the not Cosmo, but big weapon. What was it called?
Refractor.
The big weapon.
Refractor.
Yeah. I'm playing Refractor Enigma, and the Zen has Ripple Away, and they ripple away me twice, and I lose the game. And I was not a good sportsman after that game. I was very angry at that tournament. I did apologize afterwards, but I exploded a little bit. Like, what Zen runs Ripple Away?
Yeah, surprisingly, I have no stories like this. I don't know. I've lost to cards that have been like annoying, but they're not like unreasonable. They're just like, usually when I'm losing to these things and I'm salty, it's like my opponent's just playing extremely high roll cards and they happen to line up perfectly on that turn when like they just shouldn't line up like that type of thing. But they're like normal cards. It's just like annoying that it lined up in that sequence. So, yeah.
I
think probably the worst one was Alexi that was playing Channel the Bleak Expanse, like a card you would consider to counter Lexi, but they were just playing it themselves, and it countered me as Icelander because I just couldn't fuse any of my attacks. And of course, they don't draw any 3 of a kinds or any like ways of drawing cards until the second the Bleak dies. Then they draw all of them, and I'm like, perfect. Like, it's not a bad card. It's just like, really, you had to do me like that.
Yeah, it's pretty unreasonable.
Yeah.
Skabichi asks, what kind of stats and effects would you like to see for RKO and Goliath signature weapons? bonus, previous deathmatch heroes, Olympia and or Betsy.
I mean, Betsy should definitely get a big mungus, right?
Yes. Do you think it should be like huge, like pay 6 summit style, or pay 4 maybe, so it works with their hero power?
I mean, how big can you get a mungus?
Pay 7?
Wait, would that be pay 7, deal 11?
No, that's way too much. What do you mean? Where did you get
Okay,
that
so I have
damage
the-
scaling from, bro? We do 3 for 4? You just added
No,
plus 3?
no. I'm trying to make her good.
You just get a 2-card 11 off Tunic every 2
Yes,
turns? Come on, man.
every 3 turns.
Okay,
You
I
get a
have the
2-card
Lyeth
11,
weapon.
okay.
I have the Lyeth weapon. He's
Okay.
got a 2-handed hammer, but it's only 2-handed for him because he's a little guy. It's a 1-handed hammer for everyone else. And it deals 1 damage, but gets buffed based on the number of auras that have been destroyed this turn.
Yeah, I think we
a
talked
weapon I
about
won't
this.
play.
I think we talked about this back in the day, and we mentioned it as like it has to cap at something because you can't just pop like 15 mites and completely one shot them. But yeah, it could be like a base 1 power, so that way it like works with this hero power, and then it gets it costs 3 to swing, and it can get +1 up to 3 times, so it can like attack for 4.
You can also make it differently named auras.
Yeah, that would work too. Yeah, make it uncapped and make it pop for every differently named aura. That'd be sick. Because then if it's like a 2-handed weapon, we already have the concept of a 1-card 6. So like, if you have 6 differently named auras pop, like, surely that's fine.
You deserve it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can have a little power spike. Yeah, that would be sick. I like that.
It's definitely a little power spike.
Nice. RKO weapon. I would just love to see Kakara. Just 2 for 2 on attack. It's like 2 for 2 go again. On attack, your next reviled attack like also boos you or something like this.
Oh,
Like make it a strong weapon. I think it'd be sick.
that would be incredibly strong.
Maybe it like it could have some other drawback to it, but something like this where it just like 1 point below rate kind of thing, but gets you like it gets your engine going. Maybe you can only like swing it. I don't know. There has to be some restriction on how you can swing it or how you can get the booing or something, but maybe you can only
You could boo yourself every turn. That deck's so good.
yeah, maybe
I
it's
just had
like
an idea.
okay, you know how like Rock says you can only activate if you have no cards in hand? Maybe this like requires you to have 2 cards in hand to activate it. I don't know why, but that would be like interesting balancing where like you basically can't block your hand and swing the weapon, like you have to like keep cards in your hand.
I just had an idea for Olympia. What if
Okay.
we combined you remember the weapons that we had in the set that like could block? Parry Blade or something?
Parry Blade, yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
What if you combined the idea of like Parry Blade, where it's like a piece of equipment that you like can do something else with to gain value other than attacking, and then you expend it, but then it has a built-in retrieve cost, and the retrieve cost is gold.
Like the Arachne dagger that you pay silver to get back.
Yeah, but you just
Yeah,
pay gold
I always
to
thought
get
that card was so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, you can play that, right, with the Huntsman, who's actually a pretty good deck now.
yeah, you can flick it. You put it in the graveyard, and then you can pay the retrieve cost written on the card and get it back.
Yes. And it comes back and it's worth 2. But you make infinite silver now in Huntsman, which is why it's actually like a viable way to play the deck.
We need Flick Rock.
Hurl Rock.
And then you get Retrieve Rock because there's just free rocks all over the place. You can just pick another one up.
True. Create a rock token. Yeah, all these heroes should get their own, basically TLDR, all these heroes should get signature weapons because it adds a nice flavor to the world of the game.
Maybe we'll get a weapon set. We kind of had that before, but none of those weapons have really seen play. Like the same set that Rock came in. We just get another set that has a bunch of random weapons in it.
Didn't that set
I was really hoping that I was really hoping they were going to do that with heavy hitters when that set first came out and we saw what like the flavor of the set was. I was really hoping they were going to make a set design where it's like, instead of like class talent, its class weapon archetype, and then because think of like when you think of like an arena type of pit fight thing, they've got like the rack of weapons on the wall, and you pick which weapon you want to go into combat with. You could like draft a deck around a specific weapon, and then you can draft a deck around a certain class type of card. So like, oh, I see that axes are open, so I'm going to draft all the axe cards. And then, oh, Guardian's open, I'm going to move into Guardian. And like, maybe some of the weapons are better for some classes. Like, oh, the Guardians use the hammers better. Like the hammer weapon has additional subtext if you're a Guardian. But it doesn't matter because I'm just going to pick the class that's more open because the card quality of my deck is just better now. That's like a strategy thing that you could have done that I think would have been pretty interesting.
I agree.
That is it. I agree. That's a pretty interesting way to structure the draft, I think. Obviously, Olympia is supposed to have a spear, right? Like, surely this man needs to have a spear at some point in time. I do not know what a spear weapon, how a spear works in this game that makes it any different than another weapon, but I'm sure they can figure it out.
You retrieve it.
You pick it up. So it's only throwing spear.
It's got to do piercing too, for sure.
Yeah, it's got to.
If you have any questions of how it should work, just look at any of the mechanics of how Kratos works with any of these weapons in God of War.
Fair enough.
He just throws the spear and then just goes shink and it reappears in his hand.
Perfect. Wardo77 has a flavor text challenge. And in abandoning the light, I am consumed by the shadow and gifted true power. Elden Lost Night.
I screwed myself with this, by the way, so I can't guess this time. I wanted to click on the hint right away, and I misclicked the answer, so I cannot. Yeah, I'll have to leave it to you guys two to guess this time.
I clicked on the hint because I had no idea. Cody, did you click on the hint yet?
I've not clicked on the hint yet. I'm assuming it's from the first two sets. I'm assuming it's from the second set, and it's probably a Runeblade card.
Okay, you're doing well.
That's as far as I've gotten. I just don't know what Runeblade card it would be.
I thought of a good hint for it. I can redeem myself. Are you ready?
I'm going to click on the hint.
I already locked in my answer of what I think it is mentally.
Okay, good. Yeah, click on the hint, Cody. The hint is super rare.
Is it?
Let me know when I should say what I think the answer is, Cody.
What super rares are there?
I was not going to get this one right, though, anyway.
I don't know. You can say yours out because I'm not sure what super rare
guess
would be.
Is Become the Arknight.
That's what I was going to guess as well, but it's incorrect. You are very close, though. I thought it was Become the Arknight, and then I realized Become the Arknight's actual text is way too long. They could never fit flavor text on that card.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think about.
Ninth Blade?
No,
Ninth Blade?
Let me give you a hint. Matt Folks really likes this card.
Oh. Tome of the Arknight?
Tome of the Arknight?
Tome of the Arknight. I knew that'd be a fire hint at least.
That was a good hint.
I hate that was a fire hint.
That's funny.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I'm so mad that I wasn't on last week. I actually knew the answer for the stupid ass what was it, blackout kick or whatever.
We team efforted it, man.
No, but I was like, oh no, the one time I actually know it, I was like screaming at my phone. I was like, no, I know what it is. I was like in the middle of picking TCG player orders. So I was like, no, and Jimmy's across the room like, the fuck are you freaking out
about? Mike at Blackout Party says, can you name the 3 types of counters that are unique to the Runeblade class?
Doom?
Yep, Doom is one of them.
Doom is on Looming Doom.
Yep. What's on the incantations?
Verse. Okay, I thought about this. I used to never understand why it was called a verse counter. It's on both Malefic and Runeblood Incantation. Why do you guys think it's called a verse counter?
I do not know.
Because incantation
is chanting the verses or something?
It's like a chant.
Oh, it's a verse? Yeah.
I just realized this today.
It's kind of like a saga in Magic, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, now what's the third one? Do you guys know?
I'm trying to think what else even makes counters.
Doom.
I'll give you a hint. it makes counters as part of the cost. I know all these well because I always troll my opponents of like what I call the counter, so I actually know these ones. Come
I
on,
do not
Cody. How
know.
do you not know this one? You've done it so many times in your career.
Because that's not how I remember cards.
Is it a Shadow Runeblade card?
Nope. It was printed in Tales of Aria. You've done it so many times, Cody. You're going to be really mad.
I won't be.
The card has so much text on it that
Creepers.
yeah, creepers, dude. The bind counter.
Oh, it's a bind counter? I didn't know what it is. It's just a counter.
Oh, come on, dude. It's a bind counter. You don't know? You bind your feet.
No. Yep. Bind, Doom, and Verse. No, I don't. That's not how I remember cards.
Oh, okay. You want to know even more bonus lore? If I want to be Fin mode activate, you know the card they sometimes play in Vincent or Levia, Chains of Mephetis?
Yep.
That's technically a shadow card, and it puts Doom counters. So Fin mode, it's not actually exclusive to Runeblade. Unlucky.
Womp womp.
But I love these kind of questions.
King of Mice. What one matchup will you always tech for the most, no matter what hero you're playing?
Oh, wait, actually, one sec. We'll answer this in one sec. But that card, Chains of Mephetis, is one of those cards that's just like, it's in my vault of cards that's going to be absolutely busted someday, but has yet to see the light of day. Okay. Now,
someone played that against me when I was playing Gravy. It was super annoying.
Yeah, like
this is like back when Tipple existed. I was like, God damn it.
In this meta, it seems insane in theory, right? Into KO too. Like I just banish all my cards that I draw. Like it should be really good, but Shadow Hero is not good, I guess.
Yeah, but then you have to play a Shadow Hero.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have an answer to this.
Okay.
After I've talked about this before on previous pods, where after mentally fatiguing, after playing so many rounds of fatigue at calling Charlotte, I decided for now on, I'm going to make sure that my fatigue game plans are pretty simple and one-head, which usually means that I end up actually over-respecting fatigue and adding in extra cards for those types of matchups, so I don't have to, like, Giga 19 head how to play the matchup and give myself chances to make mistakes during the game. I'd rather just make it simple, streamlined. I'm not going to mentally fatigue myself during this game, because it's not only I might make mistakes and, like, my plan might not come to fruition because I don't have enough cards for the matchup, but also it's going to fuck my mental for the rest of the day because like I spent way too much time thinking about this matchup.
I have the same answer. Mine is also fatigue. It's just my deck always has some unnecessary amount of fatigue cards in it for the one time or two times I might run into it.
Yeah. I don't think I have a really good answer for this because my answer just changes based on what I perceive the meta to be. Usually what I do is I tech for the matchup. I assess what tournament I'm playing at. I tech for the matchup where I think the best players in the room will be playing that deck. And so like the majority of my tech cards will be dedicated towards the matchup that I'm like, okay, what deck is Hamilton, Fang, Brody, like all the armory people? Or if I'm playing locally, like what deck is Fino going to play? Like I'm trying to think of if I want to win this tournament, I have a list of people in my head of who I have to realistically beat in order to win the tournament. And so all my tech cards are just devoted to those people and what I expect like their deck to be.
So the Metafy is going to be updated with all your Verdance tech soon?
You're going to be playing Verdance?
Oh, I was making a joke that all the armory people are playing that.
Oh, no. I'll update it for Worlds, yeah. I still got a couple PQs to go, man. I'm not scared of any of the Verdances locally, sorry.
Oh, shit!
That's fair. No, I'm also, if my deck can beat Kano, I will always have Kano stuff in it as well. If my deck cannot beat Kano, I will have zero things for Kano in it, ever.
For legal reasons, I will always have things for Kano. I've never entered a tournament without Kano respect in my deck, so you should also never enter a tournament with Kano, because I'll have all my hate for you.
Okay. Alvin asks, congrats, Noah, on the great run with KO at AGEs. How much does the amount of rounds in a tournament impact your decision to bring KO armed and dangerous? It feels like with KO's variants, the more rounds you play, the more likely you're going to auto lose at least one due to draw discard variants. And so I was wondering if it's better to prioritize less random heroes. I have a request for this answer. Noah, can you please explain the obvious versus not obvious RNG that card games in play and how that actually impacts playing KO that you've talked about almost every time, but I don't think you've publicly done the explanation.
Okay. It's often because I start rambling and I don't have like a cohesive way of saying it. So I'll try to collect my thoughts. I'm picking up cards to shuffle in my hand so I can collect my thoughts on this. I'm sorry. Apologies if you hear it in the mic. So basically, the concept of RNG in Flesh and Blood, at least, extends to the nature of what sequence you draw cards. When you apply this to KO, that sequence from being 4 cards in your hand now applies to the top card of your deck, or maybe a couple cards deep in your deck. And you have some mitigation when you play the game of like, okay, I'm going to leverage my arsenal, or I'm going to include cards like Sink Below, or cards that opt, or Crown of Providence. But at the end of the day, every deck in Flesh and Blood is subject to variance in the sequence in which you draw your cards. When you play something like KO, both you and your opponent are aware of when bad things happen, and usually when really good things happen. Whereas when you play other decks, it's usually only the player themselves that's aware of like, wow, I'm like drawing this bricky hand, like it doesn't convert the way I want it to. It's not as face up as I played Wild Ride and discarded Reckless Swing. So I think people assume they have way more control over things when they play other decks because the variance isn't so pronounced of it's face up in front of both players and it happens so suddenly of, oh, this card was discarded, I lost my turn, basically, that they think that KO has way more variance than other decks. The second point about this is that KO has positive variance just as much as he has negative variance. And because you have so much positive variance baked into things like Beast Within, or just like my hand started with 1 blue, 3 reds. I played a red Wild Ride. I drew a blue. I discarded the red. Now I have 2 blues, and I effectively went +3 because I can swing my claw for free. All these moments of positive variance are outweighed by negative variance in the aggregate. And yes, I agree with this person that you may feel like matchups are, as you say, auto lose. I never think it's auto lose, but you may feel down in certain matchups when a bad thing happens to you. But the overall variance of a tournament, I think, is like largely mitigated by the highs contrasted with the lows, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I will to add some things to it.
Yeah.
I like look at Slippy. People thought that deck was consistent. That deck is a high RNG deck. Because the order that you draw your guys and your reactions and your D-reacts are like super important. And sometimes you just like draw hands that don't function at all. When you're playing that deck, or you just draw a bunch of guys, or you draw, you can't actually do anything powerful. And quite often the way you got around that was your opponent giving you too many cards or over respecting how the deck operated. That's like a form of variance that deck had. I will make the argument that while your KO's variance is more obvious, a lot of their cards are also more powerful,
Exactly, yeah.
and above rate, and so that makes up for the fact that you're also dealing with draw variance, because like you'll just draw a bunch of good cards and then things will happen and then you'll get out of that, and so I do also agree that the variance of playing the deck feels different, but is probably closer to the same as the variance of playing other decks.
Yeah. Yeah, the Slippy example is good too, right? The games where you draw just a Nick paired with the prognosis feel very different than when you draw 2 Just a Nicks in your hand. But it's not like you have control over that in first cycle. Like, it just pure RNG, but people think of like, oh yeah, like they just don't put as much stock into something like that, where your hand transforms from effectively like 11 to 12 value to just 6 value on defense. It's kind of the same thing as if like, I guess this is actually a perfect example where if you do Prognosis Nick and then the effects resolve, it can usually equate to like around 11 points of value. And say, for example, I was planning on doing Wild Ride into Run Roughshod, but my Wild Ride milled Reckless Swing. I went from 11 points of value down to 6. It's actually just like the exact same thing as drawing both the Justin Nicks. It just one feels so much worse.
I after you talking about that a lot that way and thinking about it that way, it has just made me reevaluate some of the other decks that are either high risk or not,
Yeah.
and why some of that like just doesn't, like, some of it applies to other decks, some of it doesn't. Like, I look at Vincent as like a very high risk deck because you're doing a bunch of really good things, but you just like don't draw attacks on one turn, you just lose the game on the spot. And that's just, it's because your other turns don't go high enough value to overcome that one turn of going down. But KO is the opposite of that.
Yeah.
You can have the turn that you just mentioned where you're like, you took damage, you're holding your hand, and then your Wild Ride doesn't have go again. And then the next turn you could just like do 30 damage. Like,
Yeah.
So, like, if you're going to take obvious risks, if you have high highs to match when things go wrong, then overall your variance is actually probably close to better than a lot of other decks can be.
Yeah, and it's also better if you're entering a tournament too where you're not the best player in the world to play a deck like this, I think, because there's a chance that you just don't experience the low rolls in that one game. You experience the low rolls in a game where you were either going to lose already or you could figure out a way to win because your opponent made mistakes, but you have a chance of like playing against Arthur Trehay and you just like draw the nuts and steamroll him because like you hit the positive side of the variance.
Yep. Or you could make 3 mistakes in the finals and win anyway.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like you can make mistakes and have like the pretty decent draws and then still win. Yeah, whatever. That was definitely more of just a flame at me and not a productive comment, but I'll let you have it.
Lucas isn't here. We got to knock someone down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
You got to chirp you when it's available because we know you'll do it back.
I will give it back twice over. Yeah.
The rules chirp whoever's the cockiest currently on the cast.
Yeah. And Noah's been having a good run lately, so he has to get chirped. He's playing KO. He's feeling good. He's back to his old deck.
Yeah.
He's got a funny hat.
Every day people ask me, why do you play KO? And I just have to answer. And then I feel like I can never give a real satisfying answer because it's just like I was even struggling to explain there about the whole like concept of variance. It's really hard to really put into words of like why it makes sense to play. Yuanji's also like really good at this too. A lot of the ideas that I get are just from him losing $1 million playing poker and then winning back money later playing poker. Just like the experiencing the highs and lows when it's manifested in real dollars has allowed him to really work hard refining the knowledge of what variance means and apply it to FAB.
You also have like some small control over the variance by like blocking to try to like set up how it's going to work for you. I remember you like explaining some of that back in the day when you used to play KO, and then I kind of took some of that myself and reapplied that to Gravy, and like that's how I think about my random draws in Gravy of what's the probability range of the top of my deck and mapping out my turn based off of the different things that could happen here. So it's like you have a plan for no matter what the outcome is of the top of your deck.
Yeah, exactly. You said it perfectly. Like I draw my 4 cards and then I just like have a phantom 5th card of the top of my deck and I just imagine what that could be and how that changes the 4 cards I play. I think if you get good at that, then you'll be pretty good at playing these kind of decks like KO and Brute, or sorry, Can Brute, nice. KO and Gravy, where you get to see extra cards during your turn.
Yeah, the way that I like to think about it is like it's a branching tree based off of the different types of cards in your deck. And I just try to group it into different subcategories, like cards that I'm trying to cast this turn, cards that if I draw it, it's just destined for the arsenal, cards that if I draw it, this is going to be a pitch card to continue the turn, or if I draw it here, it's an absolute brick. And what would I do if I drew each of these different things? And then if I drew something that is like okay, this means I have to draw again, this tree starts again from that spot and kind of branches out multiple times.
Yep. I think the biggest thing to do for KO specifically of that strategy is basically just leaving yourself open to when you draw a card that can go like you're ending your turn with an action point, for example, and you're like, okay, I'm drawing this card. If it's a red, I attack with it. If it's a blue, it allows me to swing the claw. This type of a play of just like no matter what card I draw, I can either arsenal it because it's a good card for next turn, or I can attack with it now, or I can convert it to a claw. I think is just like pretty solid way of just mitigating your deck. And yeah, obviously you can't always control this, and that's where you want to have that kind of counting cards mentality of like, what's the likelihood of me doing this play, and this leaves me on a random card off the top as my arsenal. How likely is that to be a good arsenal here? And how much do I lose the game if I have to IP because I can't set this card? Because you might be ahead enough to where you just do the play and you're like, whatever. I'm ahead enough
And
to
then
where
that's
if I
where you're
draw a
like,
bad card, I'll just IP.
and that's like where your risk dial will come in of
Yeah.
like how ahead and behind am I in the matchup. Yeah, I've been watching your videos, Cody. I will never dirge my shackle on turn 1 again.
Don't do it. But I think the other part of that is then taking away some of the variance of what your opponent can do in combo. I think about like pulping is like a wild ride, but your opponent also has a variance component to if this card works or not. And there's like a world where you take cards like that out of the deck or out of matchups where they're problematic. I see people too often run like pulping into people with D-reacts, and then now they're playing like extra variants on top of their variants, and you don't always have to make those type of decisions.
Yep.
You can just make it so that it's only happening on your side for the most part. It also feels a lot better to play these type of decks if you actually have a high roll. Like the variance is only an issue if the variance is the only bad. Like you never can go above rate. You just always go negative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else on KO variants? I think that was.
Dude, we did a great job. You were so right, man. These questions were like half the episode.
Yeah.
People are good with the questions. Ask more questions. We need more questions.
Great. Well, I'm gonna go play Mega Bonk, I think. So goodbye, everybody. So long.
Goodbye.